morning, esteemed panelists and valued attendees. Welcome to today's webinar. It's part of the Eduverse Summit series. I'm your host, moderator for today's session, and I'm also the Executive Director of Global Summits at Eduverse Summit. Just a brief introduction from my side about Eduverse Summit series. So the Eduverse Summit series is our initiative to connect global education stakeholders, focusing on innovative and forward-thinking practices in education. Coming to Bharat Shiksha Sankalp, so today's session, it is under the banner of Bharat Shiksha Sankalp webinar series, and it zeroes in on the Indian education landscape. So through Bharat Shiksha Sankalp series, we aim to spotlight the transformative innovations in our classrooms, fostering future-ready and inclusive learning environments. So Bharat Shiksha Sankalp specifically focuses on Indian education, aiming to spotlight the innovative shifts happening in our classrooms. We are fostering a community that champions future-ready learning and inclusive education practices. So now I have the privilege to introduce the panelists. So first of all, I would like to introduce Shankar Muralidharan, CEO of Shri Balaji Education Society. So Shankar comes with more than 23 years of rich experience in the education sector across business turnaround, strategy, career counseling, international education, consulting, startup consulting, and higher education. He moved to higher education in 2010, promoting brands like Great Lakes Institute of Management and SP Jain Institute of Management and Research. Phenomenally successful as the founding director for marketing and communications at Flame University, Pune. Moving on to our second panelist, Dr. Mayank Saxena. So he is the Pro Vice Chancellor of Sage University, Indore. Dr. Saxena's expertise lies in balancing traditional educational values with innovative approaches in higher education. An accomplished corporate trainer and a prolific scholar, his expertise in management research and institution building is commendable. We have Dr. Deepti Tulpule. She is the Senior Director at ISMR Pune. Dr. Deepti Tulpule's initiatives in education innovation have significantly impacted the way we think about teaching and learning in India. So now I'm moving to the panel with the questions. So we can officially now start the webinar flow. So Mr. Shankar, the first question will be coming to you. So can you please share how Shri Balaji Education Society is embracing innovative practices to prepare students for the future challenges?
Amazing. Thank you, Abhinav. Dr. Mayank, good to see you. Finally, we were trying to meet for a long time and finally seeing offline. Thank you so much. We'll be meeting in Indore very soon. So Dr. Mayank happens to be a very good friend of mine, very senior, old, fantastic friend of mine, and so on. And good morning, Dipti ma'am, and she's a fellow colleague here at the same institution where I am. And thanks to all the audience, who are listening to us, and thanks, Avinav, for pulling this. I can see that for the last 2 weeks you've literally been behind us and trying to get this. Thank you, Avinav. It's a wonderful initiative. We are deeply grateful that you invited us for this. So, coming to the topic, see, I've taken charge as CEO of this institution called Shri Balaji Group, ISMR. It's just a recent development. Ma'am joined us a week back. I've joined just a month back. People like Dr. Mayank and we have been in touch for long, many years and so on. Now, if you look at what I call in terms of initiatives, Dr. Mayank works with Sage University as a Pro-Vice. He's been part of the higher education setup for a long time. Deepti ma'am comes from big brands like MIT, WPU, where she spent almost a decade, MIT, where she spent almost a decade in Pune. All of us as like-minded professionals, although this question is to me, I'm sure each of them would have their own thoughts about it, and there's a lot of like-minded convergence happening in it. Now, what is the role of an educational institution? I think that's something that we need to ask before I say what I'm trying to do at Shri Balaji or ISMR. What are higher education institutions? India is an ecosystem, Avina. We are talking about 1,200 universities. Almost half of them are private universities, remaining are government, semi-government controlled. We're talking about 50,000 colleges, so 1,200 plus universities and 50,000 plus colleges. And we have around 3 to 4 crore students in this entire ecosystem who are doing an undergrad, postgrad program and so on. So that's the ecosystem that we're all a part of. Now, for me to say what I'm doing differently, I think we need to understand the roots of how this all started. Go back to 1991, globalization, liberalization, privatization. We all know the famous example, Princess Diana, a British princess with a Welsh subtitle, with an Egyptian boyfriend who had just replaced a Pakistani. She was driving a German car with foreign Dutch-based Indians, and the driver of the chauffeur is a Belgian drunken Scottish whiskey. They are being followed by Italian paparazzi and Japanese motorcycles, and because they are followed by these paparazzi, they drove so very fast, went into a Swiss tunnel, the car crashed and she fell down. An American doctor with Brazilian medicines and some Indian naturopathy, I am told, tries to briefly attempt the recovery and he failed and she dies. And the message is given to you by me. I'm an Indian, born and brought up in West Bengal with no electricity, then Calcutta, then Bombay, then all over the world, then in India, Flame University, Pune, and right now talking to you as CEO of a college. Now, this is the context. The last 30 years have seen more changes than what 300 years before that saw. So, the context that we're trying.
I think the connection has frozen for Shankar. So till he comes back, Dr. Mayank Saxena, I'm coming to you. So Dr. Saxena, how does Sage University integrate innovative strategies?
Initiative at Flame, at a lot of these institutions. The first thing that I started here when I joined this organization, I've been doing this for 10 years now. Dr. Mayank is also aware of this. It's called profile building. It's called career counseling. We are not restricted to only my students. I'll give an example. A couple of weeks back, I had a session on campus. Siddharth was here from a lot of big guys. And I made sure students from Symbiosis, Balaji, all the other institutions in Pune came and attended that session. So I think our first role, what we're trying to do differently is build the concept of profile building, career counseling. See, the clientele, the audience I'm dealing today is between 13 and 23 years of age. They cut their nerve for no reason. They have not seen, they've not seen what partition is. They've not seen what bureaucracy is. When Dr. Mayank and myself were teenagers, we had to wait for 8 years to buy a Bajaj two-wheeler. We had to wait for 8 years for a landline phone. This generation has not seen that. They're all born post-2000. The millennials think and act differently. You cannot put conventional strategies. I keep saying this. A cheetah is a different animal compared to an elephant, compared to a rabbit. You might say cheetah is so very fast. Cut its legs and push to an elephant. The elephant hobbles and falls down. What does a student today need? He's a victim of mental health issues. He's a victim of career counseling. I keep saying this. India's biggest problem is not poverty or politics or corruption. Our biggest problem is confusion. Indian students, Indian teachers, Indian CEOs, the entire academy, all of us put together. Most industries, sofa, chadar, parda, kapda, washing machine, every industrialist in India, all of us, the whole ecosystem is highly confused. So the first thing what we try to do here is set up a concept called as profile building, career counseling, boot camps, summer schools. These are not restricted to only my students, all in sundry. The target given to the team here is meet 2 lakh students every year, spread the message. I have Mahatma Gandhi behind me. I firmly believe in the salt satyagraha. Higher education is no longer restricted to colleges and classrooms and building a particular brand like a Flame or an ISMR. Higher education today is a mass movement which has to deal with career confusion. Students take engineering because their father forced them to, or because their girlfriend joined BTech, so they join the same college. Let him take a couple of steps back. Ask him why does he want to do. A lot of unconventional careers have come today. Media, television, entertainment, film and television, mass communication, theatre, dance, drama, psychology, sociology. They are higher paying jobs than engineering and management and MBBS. Look into those careers. Make the masses aware. Take them in that direction. But I think these are a few initiatives. I have only 2 minutes. I'm sorry, I can't take. So what we've tried to do strategically is don't talk about ISMR Sri Balaji as a B school or an undergrad, postgrad college where students have to come and some profit has to be made and something has to be given back to society. That obviously will happen. Look at what am I doing? Am I trying to create entrepreneurship inside students top down as a community? Am I trying to create renewal? Am I trying to create frontline integration for the entire student community? So the whole idea is whoever interacts with me or my teachers or my staff or my placement guys or even my office boy who sits outside gets a salary of 10,000 bucks. Whoever interacts with us, I think our objective is simple. I exist to make you become the best that you can become. If students can be convinced of that, I think that is how fresh new beginnings start any higher education system. Sorry if I've taken so much time, but I've tried to answer it in whatever way I can. I've gone. Yeah, thank you.
No, all good, all good. I think I really liked your touch base with the career counseling concept and the entire concept of confusion. And that's why this whole initiative is because that's what we want to achieve. We want to go to the grassroots level to remove all these confusions. I'll request you to come a little forward because your voice in between, we lose you. So a little closer to the system, we'll have better voice clarity for the audience. But all good. So moving to Dr. Saxena now. So Dr. Saxena, how does Sage University integrate innovative strategies to ensure that students are equipped for the global landscape.
Very good morning, and thanks to this opportunity for providing me this opportunity to talk, specifically talking about Shankar. It was a wonderful, the meeting here on this platform. Sage University has understood and the complete psychology of the student at first, and then they had recrafted the overall process of delivering the education to the students. Silos specified traditional level of the education system, and so no, we don't follow that. We had understood that the present time situations and present time landscape is typically different. Very nicely explained by Shankar in his expression. The people are psychologically different. People who are recipient of this the education, they had different aspirations. So we need to understand that what the aspirations that they bring in, as well as what is their psychological setting. So we had initiated a program that is first is as the admission counseling is there. Admission counseling is being extended into the understanding students better, and a kind of IT driven, ERP driven complete profiling of a student happen. So the admission, at the time the admission only, it is being understood that what is the personalization and what are the personal traits and personal issues that is a student is having. After that, it comes on, grouping side. I'm simply talking that what new that we had done. I'm not talking about the traditionals and so. So it is something that we just divide them into the groups, and then on the basis of that, their learning pace is being understood and their learning pace is being defined. Their curriculum is being, some of the basic issues, they will remain same, but at the same point of time, as per the need of a student, some more things will be added on. So what we did, we had innovated an idea of the general electives. So almost the 14 electives are available for a student. On the basis of that, the differences that they have in their expectation or their skill set or their personality wise, and they can choose from amongst them. And in fact, that a separate setup of the counseling is being established here. 3-level counseling is being established here. First is that of a psychological counseling, and professional psychologists are being employed. Second case is that of the counseling by the teachers. This all kind of the assessments that's being done at the time of the admission is being taken up to the students by the teachers, who are being given as in tutor-guardian concept to the students. And they explain them, they help them that what shall be their journey here for the 3 years in undergrad or 4 years in undergrad, at the same point of time 2 years in the postgrad. And in that case, what all courses they shall take on, and so they've been helped across this journey here in this one, and so that the accountability of the system is being expected. Accountability in the system is to be created, where the student learn whatsoever it is it shall be. The another kind of thing is that making the education reach to the application point. There are some, in my understanding, they are the types of the education systems. I don't call them as the degree systems. I call them as the education systems. The courses like management, the courses like engineering, they are typically there for specific kind of applications. And the another kind of that is something the political science, and so they are there for more of the understanding that why some policy issues is being taken up, or why some policies are being deployed on it. So in the first case, reach the classroom is not to be a kind of a brick and mortar classroom which is existing in a building. It is something which is to move out with the help of the certain films, with the certain live telecasts, some kind of the FB lives, and so they reach out to the place where you are talking about. Taking a small example over here, if suppose retail is to be taught in a management class, the kind of various the issues where the retailing is happening is to be brought live in the classroom and then discussed. So these are some innovations at this point of time. We are going ahead with an idea of each student is different. Try and customize their learning path within ideas of the IT infused and practical applications to be taught there. So with these ideas, some of the innovations are being added. Thanks for this opportunity.
Amazing innovations. Love to hear about the teacher guardian and all those initiatives, and going beyond the traditional classroom setting. Now, we also have Dr. Pulkit Khanna. She has also joined. So I'm delighted to introduce Dr. Pulkit Khanna. She is the Dean of the Jindal Institute of Behavior Sciences at OP Jindal Global University. So Dr. Khanna's work in integrating behavior sciences into education offers unique perspectives on student engagement and learning. So welcome to the panel, Dr. Khanna.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. And I regret that technology interfered with something, but in a way, I'm glad it did, because this sort of builds the case for what I'd like to talk about. This entire panel is talking about embracing a future-ready education system, and I just want to bring to everyone's attention here that the world that you and I inhabit today is often known as the VUCA world, which is very volatile, which is very uncertain, which is very complex and ambiguous. And pretty much like what happened with me this morning, where no matter what time you start from home and you reach and everything, there can be sudden, unexpected things that just put you off the scripted path. This is the life that all of our learners inhabit. And if anything, I think COVID taught all of us that things that you prepare for or things that you learn can become redundant very soon. Adaptability is the new survival skill. And so when you talk of things to embrace a future-ready education system, what do you innovate in the classroom? I think behavioral sciences, particularly psychology and allied sciences, have a very huge role to play. So if I could just share with you here that a recent report by Dell Technologies and the Institute of Future says that about 85% of the jobs that people are going to be doing by 2030 do not even exist today. As another example, we've all heard of the ubiquitous SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. The thing is that as we reach the midpoint, of 2023-24, where it's the halfway mark for the 2030 agenda, there is a paradigm shift. A new conversation is starting, which is about IDGs, that is the Inner Development Goals. The point that I'm trying to make through all of these things is that the future lies in human behavior, human competencies, because the world around you and me is rapidly changing. The technology that you learn today, the syllabus in your classroom today, be it at school or college, is going to be obsolete before you know it. So the best investment then is really in our own human competencies, our own human skills, things like how do you navigate stressful situations, how do you teach emotional intelligence, how do you deal with psychological issues. Things like this is our best investment, because it's like preparing for an exam where the syllabus will keep changing every day. So how do I prepare for that? Because by the time I go and sit for the exam, I don't know what syllabus is going to be covered. So I guess my best bet then is to prepare myself. And as an opening remark, I'd just like to leave you all with the thought that adopting behavioral sciences education and not limiting it only to psychology or allied fields, but really embracing that wholeheartedly is where the future lies. And there are many, many innovations that can be tried to embed this in all fields. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here again. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Khanna. Really amazing, and I would say enlightening opening remark. I'll come back to you in just 2 minutes. I'm moving to Dr. Tulpale for her inputs. So Dr. Tulpale, can you elaborate that how ISMR Pune is fostering innovation in its curriculum and teaching methodologies?
Yeah, thank you everyone, and nice to meet you all, listen to you all. We at ISMR, we have our private curriculum course to run, and we are also governed by Pune University. So we have a statutory syllabus that comes in, but we all know that having a syllabus from a university is not enough to make a student ready for the corporates. So what we have done, we try to blend the syllabus with the corporate requirements. So we get connected to corporate. We have a well-established board of study which comprises of corporate individuals, and on a frequent basis we try to take lots of inputs that what exactly happening in the industry, so that we can have it in a class. And equally we conduct FDPs for our teachers so that they can understand what's the corporate requirement, blend it with the syllabus that we have, and then deliver in the class. So understanding that we are teaching accountancy or financial management for a student, but then how it is happening, what is the analytical part, what is the advanced Excel, or what are the different tools that have been used. So corporate people keeps on giving us, we conduct lots of workshops for them so that we can have the syllabus blended with the corporate requirement. But this is one thing that we keep in mind in delivering the syllabus and content. But on a second hand, when we frequently talk to people from industry, they say it's not only about the knowledge part of it, it's something where people are also lacking an attitude. So parallelly, we try to conduct a lot of initiatives in terms of mentor-mentee, in terms of conducting sessions on know yourself. When I say specifically know yourself, is we work on people understanding why exactly are you pursuing a management course. So it's something that you really want to give back to the corporate or the company where you work, or it's also something that you really want to work or you want to learn something. When it comes to learn something, develop your attitude, be ready for the diversity, accept the diversity, be ready for a self-learner. So we try to conduct behavioral sessions where we talk about, creating an attitude means you have to be initiator, you have to be a self-learner, go back in a company and don't restrict yourself for the time bound, because we all have a challenge. You come back to the classroom sessions, to a typical teacher like me, we struggle a lot when people say it's 5:30 and we want to be out, and lot of assignments, so we struggle in that aspect. So we have third thing that we have come with an initiative is create an assignments. We all know we are supposed to create an assignment keeping in mind about the evaluation pattern for the final examination, but then we thought that's not enough. Let's start working on creative assignments. So we talked about our live projects. So even for a smaller to smaller assignment, pushing people into the research part of it, because new NEP is also talking about lots of research work. So rather than waiting for your summer internships or dissertations, let involve a student into more creative assignments. So one initiative, it's just at the very premature stage for us. One thing that we are doing is we are, for example, let me give an example for you. Like, for example, HRM subject is a human resource management. Now, we all know we talk about human resource, but somewhere down the line, we have to actually teach people when it comes to performance management, how it actually happening in the company, rather than just talking about what are the tools or the process of performance appraisal. So we get connected to smaller company, we add our students to them, and we say we'll do a live project. If it is okay for you, you can implement in your company. But meanwhile, as an internal mentor to the student, I actually teach them that this is a real life scenario, and these are the employees, these are the orientation of both of them, blended together, understand your subject, understand the concept of performance appraisal, and come on, design a proper system for this company. Now we are trying to involve these types of creativities in the class so that people feel a part of it. And they don't only stuck that I am a finance person, I don't want to understand HR, and I'm an HR person, and so I'll be more involved. We say, come on, forget it. Don't think about your specialization initially. Understand what management concept is. So these are few innovative practices that we are trying to get into the classroom sessions so that people understand what the syllabus is, but they learn, they enjoy the delivery of the sessions as well. So these are few initiatives which we do in the class for the classroom learning. Yeah. Thank you.
Amazing. I really like the way you have integrated the practical components into the theoretical part, and you spoke about NEP. So I've been closely associated with NEP over the last 3 years, and I've seen that how this genesis has progressed through the various education institutions. You also touched base on the behavioral aspect, so that makes me go to Dr. Pulkit again. So Dr. Pulkit, in your experience, how do you think that the application of behavior sciences enhances the innovation process in education? What role does it play right now, or let's say in the coming time?
Right. So, happy to chime in, and actually building on what I started my conversation with, that with everything changing around us and change being the only constant, I think it becomes very, very solidly important to invest in behavioral competencies. But allow me to expand the focus of that. Typically when we talk of innovating in education, almost all of our efforts or energy or resources are focused on the student and rightly so. But what we often tend to neglect is that unless you keep upskilling your educators, unless the teachers are also adequately invested in, and when I say resources, I don't mean financial resources alone. It is also resources of skill, capacity building, their own, skilling, awareness of technology, preventing against burnout. I think in the Indian scenario, I'm glad we have many fellow panelists who are from the education and academia sector. Teaching, both in schools and higher education, often is very glorified, but not adequately rewarded or recognized, or teachers are just expected to know how to teach. It's also a very giving profession where, especially if I talk of the school sector, in higher education, it tends to be slightly different. But a teacher or an educator doubles up as a counselor, an agony aunt, a first aid professional, and everything else rolled into one, besides being a subject matter expert. So, I guess behavioral sciences, focusing on not only the learner but also the educator and investing in them, is definitely the way forward. And if I may add and again bring to everyone's attention, although I'm a behavioral scientist, I am given to understand that numbers are what make sense to a lot of people, and that's how they register things. So I must share with you that this is not me saying it, but WHO. That tells us that when you look at the onset of mental health conditions for a lifetime, about 50% of them have an onset by the age of 14 and about 70% by the age of 24. So really what that means is that the young people that all of us are dealing with on a daily basis, they truly hold the future of what lies ahead. And behavioral sciences, not only in a remedial way, but really focusing on the strengths of people, early identification, just making sure that when you talk of behavioral science, wellness, mental health support, this is not a peripheral band-aid type of a version, but this is integral to the goal of education. You ask a parent, you ask a teacher, yes, you've got to be future ready, but you will be future ready when you are ready to deal with everything that life throws at you. So ensuring that, all of us as diverse stakeholders, be it a teacher, a parent, a school or a higher education university administrator, all of us have this shared goal of ensuring the best learning outcomes for students. So if I may just make one last point, I often talk about this, that when you look at the website of any prominent institution, because you're talking of education, so I think all of us have institutional websites or brochures. What are the things that they talk about? They will talk to you about the placement record. They will talk to you about the beautiful infrastructure, how many students went to which industry to intern, where did the faculty get their illustrious degree from, and by all means, these are very crucial things. But hardly anybody talks about student mental health or how happy are students on my campus. We forget, but if you go to any obscure, any random parent, you ask them, what do you want for your child? They might tell you that everything else is okay. I want my child to be happy. But nobody's really taking that conversation forward. So I think behavioral sciences in a big way has a role to play in this. Thank you.
Very true.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. And I think behavior science or behavior as an overall aspect is quite underscored even in today's time in our education system. Students have become, I would say, more vulnerable to, I would say, losing their way or path. They are just focusing in one direction, as you mentioned, that's the academic, or let's say going after placements, but losing on all other aspects and not focusing on becoming better human beings first. So I think that you are going in the right direction. Shankar, I'm coming to you now with next question. So we have started this webinar with the help of technology. So how do you see technology shaping the future of classroom learning?
I hope my voice and camera is all fine now. Sorry for the disturbance last time. So, there's this old saying I keep saying time and again, being a B school faculty myself, having taught with some real big B schools in the country, technologies don't discover markets. Markets discover technologies. It's something which I keep saying every now and then. Now, what this means is, If you look at the last 200, 250 years of corporate existence, East India Company till date, 250 years, we have a lot of companies which have come and invented big things. Apple made the first initial laptops, and somebody made the landline phone, and Alexander Graham Bell made the first landline phone, and Motorola made the first mobile phones, and so on and so forth. Motorola does not exist today. Nokia is gone. Enron, WorldCom, Arthur Andersen, Tyco, Kodak, they made the world's first camera. It's not existing today, it's gone. Technologies do not discover markets. Markets discover technology. What do I mean by this is, very few companies, Coca-Cola being an exception, it is the first company in the world way back in 1885, 4 years before Nehru and 4 years before Hitler. They came up with a wonderful concept called Coca-Cola, the first bottled syrup with some concentrate soda. It is one of the very few companies which invented something for the first time, and it is still number one in that. Coca-Cola kept that numero uno position. Most other companies, the first company, the Americans made the first television. Today, no American company makes television. It's gone. It's gone to Japanese and South Koreans. So, I understand technology is important, but technologies don't discover markets. Markets discover technology. So, it is not the technology, but what you do with the technology that actually concretely matters. That is how this technology is at best a medium. It at best, it is a tool to polish the resource. You need to have the shoe for something to polish it. Technology can't make the shoe. You need to have a shoe yourself. Dr. Amartya Sen once said, and I would like to quote him. Somebody asked him, "Sir, tell us something about yourself." And he says, and I quote, he says, he's the first Indian to win a Nobel Prize. I'm sure most of us know this. And he said this, and I'm quoting, he says, "My name is Dr. Amartya Sen. I'm an Asian, an Indian citizen, a Bengali with Bangladeshi ancestry, an American and British resident, an economist, a dabbler in philosophy, an author, a Sanskritist, a man, a feminist, a heterosexual, but I firmly believe in gay and lesbian rights, also believe in democracy and secular values, and I also believe, I come from a Hindu, non-Brahmin, non-religious background, but I believe in before life and afterlife." And he says, "Hang on, that's not my colleague, my friend who actually helped me win the Nobel Prize. She is an American citizen with half Caribbean, half West Indian, half African ancestry. She's a woman, a liberal, a vegetarian, a long-distance runner, a jazz musician, theater lover, environmentalist, tennis fan. She is heterosexual, but she also believes in gay and lesbian rights. She also believes in democracy and secular values. And she also believes that aliens exist outside the Milky Way galaxy. And it's very important to talk to these aliens, preferably in English." This is how he introduced himself. Now, why am I discussing that here? Is essentially, yes, there is technology, and they're talking on a Zoom account today, which itself shows that geography has become history. The world has become flat, borderless, globalized, Walmartized, Pizza Hutized, McDonaldized, etc., etc. But the point is, what are we still doing? How are we using this technology as a positive tool? That is, the questions need to be revolved around that. We are a very old, India is about 7,000 years old, perhaps one of the oldest civilizations in the world today. Look around us, caste, creed, color, culture, cuisine, costume, contour, context, and yet we have a common consensus. Is technology helping us create diversity inside our classrooms? Is technology helping us answer? Am I trying to get somebody from the Ambani family and somebody from Calcutta, where his father is actually driving a hand rickshaw? Am I trying to put them in the same classroom, online or offline? I think these are the factors that we should look into account before we say use technology. Use technology is fantastic. I can sit in India and talk to students in Delhi Public School, Kenya, Nairobi, and say my college is very good, come and join to be fantastic. But are we utilizing it? Are we asking the right questions? Are we creating a simple thing? Dr. Pulkit spoke about how she thinks. I think I totally second that. 1:1 ratio male female, 1:1 ratio urban rural, 1:1 ratio Indian international. Are we creating a diverse atmosphere? Are we looking at, she spoke about happiness quotient. Are we looking at colleges which have diversity? There's a university I know very well. They say, "Oh yeah, my university is good because why? I use technology to market my products, and I've used my technology so well that today my college has people from all around. It's got Sardars, it's got Gujaratis, it's got Maharashtrians, it's got Punjabis, but all of them are from Bombay. That is not what diversity is. A Sardar from Bombay will still eat a vada pav. He will support Mumbai Indians and Rohit Sharma. We need to use technology to create diversity. We need to take technology, borderless world. I think that's more important. NEP has made that possible. A student can do 1 year somewhere and then come. So I think the debate regarding how do we use technology, the debate regarding how are we asking the right questions, are we solving those problems? I think I spoke in my introduction. The three things: how do I create entrepreneurship top down? How do I create renewal top down? How do I create frontline integration top down? And an education ecosystem. Is technology helping me do that? I think those are the fundamental questions that we need to ask. And I see a problem because there are many dark corners in India. There are institutions where people are mistreated, where students are mistreated, because a lot of our institutions are still controlled by politicians or family business guys or real estate guys with no understanding of how to run the business professionally. Many of those institutions have died. A lot of them will very soon die. Creative destruction is what we are in the midst of. Are we using technology to enable? In simple terms, are we going and shouting at the top of our voice saying graduation is like marriage, do it late, don't do it wrong. MBA is like marriage, do it late, don't do it wrong. It's okay to take a drop. It's okay to do bodybuilding and learn music after class 12. It is nowhere written that you have to join a college immediately after class 12. Are we promoting gap year programs? Are we promoting summer schools? Are we promoting boot camps? Are we using technology to take these things in the right? I think these are the more fundamental questions that need to be asked. In that way, I think at my institution, at Sri Balaji ISMR, I am making sure technology is used in its best possible way to take this top down. But then I am an exception. Are the others contributing? As an ecosystem, I will doing, but I think those are the fundamental questions to be asked. I'm sorry if I took some time, but I hope I did answer some part of what you asked.
Yeah, I think great, but I think two takeaways which I get from your conversation is that technology has to drive diversity, which I completely understand, and that has to be at multi levels. And as you started your answer is that technologies don't discover markets, markets discover technology. I think a lot of deeper conversations can happen in that aspect as well, but time will not allow that. Dr. Saxena, I'm coming to you. Siddharth, I'll come to you after Dr. Saxena. So Dr. Saxena, what do you see as a critical component, or let's say critical components of future-ready curriculum in higher education in today's time?
First thing is that dynamism is at a very high pace. Things are changing. We need to understand that, again, I will talk in the two different facets of an higher education. The first one is that of an application oriented, where the industry ready workforce is to be created, and then the industry is changing fast. The technologies are penetrating everything in it. Currently, that is artificial intelligence is reshaping the workforce and then the workplace, and so, and accordingly we need to recraft the particular teaching learning setup, and so this is going on. This is one side. The another side that you talk about is the body of knowledge is being built at a very, very fast pace. The kind of research, as you talk about, or the kind of the development of the newer ideas you talk about, it is very fast as of now. The kind of knowledge that we had created in the last 20 years of this century, that's really far more than that of whatsoever has been created in, say, few centuries ago. And so this is to be accumulated as in, say, body of knowledge which is to be imparted to the students, and that's where the next kind of things are being done here. Research, again, dimensions wise, has to be divided into the two parts. The first part is that of an application oriented research, which is going with the, say, developing skills of students and let them understand the various happenings at the ground floor, and another one conceptualizing the various disciplines. So the PhD and say the projects and the graduation or the post-graduation, they are being instrument for this. We had introduced the projects in reference to the graduation level, we call it as in graduation projects, and to that of the PG level, that is about the, say, again, post-graduation level projects. Another point is imbibe or say mitigate the distances between the learning points and to that of happening, and so. In this case, the projects, they help talking, interacting with the professionals and moving ahead with the concepts and ideas which are really making it short. We are in a midst of knowledge economy, and this knowledge economy talks about that creating the kind of consumable knowledge and then using it for the appropriate profits or appropriate benefits of the industry that is to be focused on. So this ability or this kind of skills has to be imparted amongst the students, and they need to be given the tools where they can practice and master on these skills. And that's where we call it as a syllabus development under these lines. So the syllabus development has to take care of these kind of the innovations or these kind of changes which are being brought in. Academics is having its own stakeholders, the higher education particularly if I talk about. Industry is one amongst them. Apart from that, it comes about the students' expectations, as in the previous session or previous turn I was talking about. All these stakeholders, they need to sit together and they need to create a particular setup where the student can travel and then attain whatsoever the objectives are. Role of university is also under some kind of flux. The knowledge is available on Google, knowledge is available on many other apps, and then you can say move out, ascertain it. But the experience sharing or experience building or say creating a knowledge is the new role that is emerging with the universities and so on. So in this perspective, the overall establishment of the system, overall establishment of the activities, that has to be done, and that's what we call it as the designing the syllabus or designing the programs, and that's how that we are moving on.
Right. So amazing. I think curriculum development, you touch base on that, and research, I really like that you have segregated into two components, the application side and the conceptual side, because most of the times what I have seen personally when dealing with research students, it's always about the theory side with having no clue that what will be the real world implication of the research. And that's where I think most of the research loses its value. Thank you, Dr. Saxena, for your inputs. I'll just check with Siddharth. Siddharth, are you okay to speak?
Yeah, I'm okay to speak. So good timing at the conveyor belt. So I've just entered the airport.
Okay, we'll wait for it.
I hope my audio and video are clear to everyone. No, we can speak. I can quickly give a 2-minute summary, and I'm here.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, can you please give me the short brief about the point that I am to speak on?
Yeah. Yes, sure. So first of all, let me then introduce you to our audience and fellow panelists as well. Now we have Sid Rajhans. He's the principal policy officer at the United Nations New York office. His global insights into education policy are crucial in understanding how India can integrate a more international approach in education. So Siddharth, my question to you would be that from your global perspective, because you come from such a vast experience in global perspective, what innovative education practices do you think could be the most effectively adapted in the Indian context?
Right. So thank you so much, Avinav, and thanks to all the other panelists who have joined this. I'm sorry I was a bit late, but then I think it's good timing. I've just entered the airport, landed a little late because of the ongoing fog situation in India. So thanks to everyone who has joined. It's always a pleasure, especially to speak after Shankar. I just texted him that, since you're speaking, I guess I'll reach the airport and be on time, because he covers so many points thoroughly. Thanks to the previous panelists. I heard the last speaker, I think his name was Dr. Saxena. I was in the bus at the airport, so I couldn't get that right. So Dr. Saxena mentioned a word called knowledge economy. So I'll take it from there. Because I am a diplomat, and currently in diplomacy, we have a few thrust areas, if I may put it that way, that we need to focus on. So one of those thrust areas right now, with reference to G20, is about reinvigorating and redeveloping India's knowledge economy. So, India as a superpower, India as a world power, has not aspired to ever become a major player in the world on the basis of our nuclear arsenal compared to USA, USSR, and all these countries. Knowledge economy has been our focus. So we even Dr. Kalam, all these great people envisioned India to become a knowledge superpower. And that has been our core ethos. So that combined with India's current diplomatic repertoire, whether it's around vaccine diplomacy, whether it's about being the pharmacy of the world. So there's a very unique thing, that happened around the G20. We started being called voice of the global south. So if you have to imagine what that means, the entire southern hemisphere, which largely comprises of underdeveloped and developing nations. I saw the Eduverse campaign happens in Lagos and Sao Paulo. All of these places are largely part of what we call as the global south. And India today is being called as a voice of this global south. So I think there is an immense possibility, an opportunity that we need to capitalize on with reference to that. When we talk of this entire thing, apart from knowledge economy, there is one interesting thing. We are called the CTO of the world, the Chief Technology Officer of the world. All these amazing technologies, whether it is UPI or Aadhaar, the entire UIDAI system, or even DigiLocker, all of these facilities, including the CoWIN platform, all of them were open source platforms, if you may notice. And in fact, we made it available for the world to use. So when we disseminated the largest vaccine campaign on earth using COVID as a platform, we made sure everyone had access to it. So in fact, I personally know around 70, 80 countries who used the COVID open source model to create their own vaccine, management system. So we have created such incredible opportunities for the world right now. When we talk of UPI, all these foreign diplomats, when they visit Delhi, we make sure to show them around and, make them pay one vegetable vendor using a digital transaction on the UPI. And they're amazed because these technologies have not existed for a large part of the world. In fact, S. Jaishankar himself mentioned that he was in the US and they asked for a vaccine certificate there, and his son who lives there had this entire 5-page thing printout folded in his pocket, and he took that out to show the Pfizer or the Moderna vaccine, whereas he just had it on his mobile phone. So that's the level of impact we have created on the global stage. So I think that the knowledge economy is what India is currently capitalizing on, and that is what leads to the entire collective effort of becoming voice of the global south. So I think there is an immense opportunity for all of you who are part of this conference, whether as panelists, whether as attendees, to be able to capitalize on this opportunity. We are currently the tech headquarters of the world. We are headed in that direction. Even if technology companies weren't in India in the first place, there was an Indian at every top position in economy. Whether you talk of Sundar Pichai at Google, at Microsoft, Ashwin at HCL, V. Narasimhan at Google, Latin Narasimhan at Starbucks. Even the CEO of a website called OnlyFans, Amrapali Gan, was an Indian woman. And there is a reason why there is an Indian at every top position. Whenever a conference like this happens, I always raise this issue. While we have often criticized the Indian education system for rote learning and all of these things, I think it has got its own charm and merit. The Indian education system, it organizes and structures your mind. It takes you through a lot of rigor and painstaking rigor through which your knowledge system in your head gets fashioned. Every Indian, the ideal CEO candidate. Imagine a metallurgical engineer from IIT Kharagpur, Sundar Pichai, is today running the greatest technology company on the planet, Google, and now Alphabet. So that's what Larry and Sergey, they wrote in the founder statement, abc.xyz, that's the website. So they wrote that, the reason why we chose Sundar is encyclopedic knowledge of Google. And that's what Indians do. We are excellent workers. We are determined, honest, full of integrity, and we have this entire painstaking rigor, academic rigor that we go through. So I think that is our core competency. And when we talk of innovations that are happening on the world stage, the entire MOOC platform for courses, whether it is the government-owned Swayam platform, now swayam.gov.in, or the entire movement that happened from edX to Coursera to Udemy, Udacity, Khan Academy, all of these websites were by an Indian or person of the Indian subcontinent. From my good friend Salman Khan, who runs Khan Academy, to edX. The founder of edX was again an Indian person who was running the project HarvardX and MITx. And that is how all of these courses got onboarded. So there has been an Indian who has been trying to make education as accessible as possible over the last decade. And I think we are headed in a decade where there is going to be a whole lot of opportunities for us to cross-pollinate and find out interdisciplinary areas wherein we can innovate. Right now, the need to innovate on a mass scale has reduced because almost there is an app for everything. So now is the decade of micro or niche segment innovation in education. So try and identify such niches, such divides, such bridges. Today, when we talk of anything, any app in the market, when we talk of delivery apps, and Amazon or Flipkart has become old. It's the decade for Blinkit, wherein you figure out a last-minute delivery niche so that people get things in the blink of an eye. So this Blinkit, then so this entire hyper-local market that has developed, this is the area where education can focus right now. Try and identify interdisciplinary areas wherein you can build a product or service. And that's where I feel the entire decade is headed. This is the decade of artificial intelligence, of integrating augmented reality, virtual reality, machine learning, deep learning, big data, data analytics, predictive analytics, improved communication technologies, IoT, all of things. So I think identifying niche segments within the entire domain and capitalizing on that is the need of the hour. Over to you, Abhinav. You can take the next panelist, and I'll join you in a couple minutes when I take the next cab.
Thank you, Sid. I think in the interest of time, I'll just will not be able to put my inputs on your, I would say, well-read thoughts. But thank you for taking out the time you just landed. So quickly, I'll request the audience, just give me a minute. If you have questions for our wonderful panelists, please use the Q&A section or the chat box. We will be more than happy to answer the questions that you have. I see. Now, I think in the interest of time, I will be able to have 2 more questions because we are only 9 minutes away from the official closure. So Dr. Pulkit, I'll come to you. I have one question for you actually. So how do you foresee behavior sciences evolving in the coming times to further support the education innovation? How do you see the evolution happening in the behavior sciences aspect?
Okay, thank you for the question. I think we are, first, if I may just digress a little bit, I want to make a special mention for Mr. Shankar Muralidharan's, passion when he speaks. I think if half of our learners and educators embody that passion, we'll be a very, very different system. But coming back to your question, I guess in a very dark sort of a way, but of course the COVID pandemic was a terrible time for the humanity as a whole. But if I may say so with caution, one discipline or one field of study that in some strange way benefited from it or actually got some traction, it was psychology and behavioral sciences. Because of course, in the middle of all the despair and the terrible times that the humanity faced, focus shifted. Things like mental health, the importance of what was earlier considered as just soft skills, so to say, suddenly shifted, and people acknowledge issues that they did not earlier. So therefore, I think as a system, particularly when you talk of the Indian system, we are poised at a very good time where there is increasing recognition, increasing acknowledgement of the importance of this field. And in that sense, I see this field increasingly playing a very important role in shaping education systems for the future. If I could also give you an example here and share, because most of the panelists, shared from their own specific institutions about some case study of how they're actually embodying that. I think I speak of this, but I'd also want to share an example of how here at OP Jindal Global University, when you talk of behavioral sciences as a field or the institute that I represent to you, we do not function in a silo. We do not think that this subject is only for a person who wants to pursue a specialized degree in the subject. We open it up to everybody. So on our campus, we have more than 10,000 students, and we open up these subjects to everybody, whether it's an aspiring lawyer, an MBA graduate, a journalism student, an English literature student, because psychology, behavioral sciences is for everyone. So increasingly acknowledging that, look, this is not an issue reserved for only if you want to become a specialist in the field, but it is your business as much as mine. And a very practical, successful way in which we've done this. One, of course, we open up these courses. We call these experiential application focused courses where students are free to sign up for the course that interests them. It is not packaged like a, quote unquote, soft skills lesson or a moral science class that you have at school, because that just carries a very different connotation. As an example, I've personally taught for the past maybe at least 4 years here at OP Jindal this very successful course on psychology for everyday living, or something called emotional literacy. And in one cohort, you can have somebody from international affairs, somebody from public policy, somebody from law, because young people are dealing with issues, be it issues of adapting to future uncertainties, career stresses, relationship problems, etc. And what you are doing is you are taking things from the classroom to the community. You are taking current research but packaging it in an accessible way that people understand. So if we have to marry all of this with technology, take it forward, particularly in a customized context. And yes, I would just say that last but not the least, if we have to take the message forward, because the previous panelist also spoke about the unique advantage that we have in the global south in India, I think it's high time that we come into our own and don't just keep importing the Western ideas of, because psychology as a field definitely gained proponents there, or behavioral sciences, and I have a lot of respect for that. But what works there may not as is work for our audience. So being very open to embrace our own indigenous practices and trying to adapt and localize it for our own cultures is the way forward. I'd like to stop here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pulkit. Yes. I think, Siddharth, I'll take a question because there's a question from the audience, but this is a question to Shankar actually.
Sure.
So,
okay.
Yeah, Dr. Shankar, the question is, I think Siddharth and Shankar, you both can join to answer. So Dr. Shankar mentioned that our teaching strategies should be suited to Gen Z. Could you please elaborate the concept?
So, okay, it's a very broad question, but let me just take some time to understand, to tell you what I mean. My previous panelist, Dr. Pulkit, spoke about psychology, behavioral sciences. What happens in the West may not happen here, and so on. Siddharth, who's a very good friend for the last decade or so on, he spoke about the openness in the Indian system and how our education system actually helped create a Sundar Pichai. But the same Sundar Pichai might not have become so famous in India. He went to US and he's become what he's become now. I know I have this debate at a much broader level. I had this debate with a lot of people over the last many years, and there's always this misconception in our mind that entrepreneurship or openness or integration is not an Indian concept. That's a debate that is there. A lot of people actually support this, saying in India, society is very important. We have so many festivals, almost every day you have a festival. We are people who always care about the neighbor more than ourselves. So we are not very capitalistic. We are not a society where you actually want to make profits or drive profits. So we are very, happy-go-lucky kind of people. Therefore, we are not entrepreneurs. That's a debate that is there. Now, I personally believe it is horrible. This is wrong. There is nothing in our history. We are 7,000 years old. Banaras, Tamil Nadu, one of the oldest civilizations in the world. There is nothing in our history, in our culture, in all our religions. There is no anything in our psychology or character that prevents entrepreneurship. That's what Siddharth said. Indians who've gone outside India, Lakshmi Narayan Mittal, Sundar Pichai, all these guys have become so fantastic. Problem is, ma'am, the question who asked this, problem is the system that we created between 1947 and 1997, 50 years, monopolization. I spoke about Dr. Mayank and I being youngsters. You had to wait for 8 years to buy a Bajaj two-wheeler in this country, 30 years back. That monopolization killed what I call as frontline entrepreneurship. As a culture, I think we are far better. We all give examples of openness. Siddharth spoke about openness. There's a company which I know, Cow Corporation. A lot of you may not have heard of Cow, but I'm sure some of you know what Cow is. It's in the same business like Unilever or Procter & Gamble, oral care, skin care, hair care, body care, etc. Cow Corporation. It's a Japanese company. It is one of the first companies in the world which began opening information. Now, in Cow, in fact, Cow is the first company which came up with a concept like separate gel toothpaste or, shape diapers for children, separate washing powders for washing machines and so on. One of the top 3, top 4 companies in FMCG, perhaps even bigger than many of the others that we know. In Cow, Japan, every employee, when I say employee, one of the bottom down factory employees, one of the first factory employees who's working in the factory there, doing some kind of grade 4 work, even that employee can access yesterday's expense account of the president of the company. Yesterday's sales from every retail outlet, yesterday's shipments from information is just so openly available. And when somebody asked Mr. Morita, Yoshio Morita, the company's founder, when somebody asked him, where did you learn this entire concept of information democratization? He said, I was in India. I spent my teenage in India. I was there in this time, I'm talking about 50, 60 years back when I was in India. He said, Indians taught me the concept of opening information. So when I say our teenagers need to be taught, I think we have to start first from the concept of opening information.
Indians, I know all of us, Siddharth and I were in the airport the other day, all of us, talk about the famous Indian crab. I'm sure some of you know this. It's a joke. It's a serious joke, by the way. There are 7 major oceans in the world: Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, Red Sea, Mediterranean Sea, and so on. If you take crabs from any of these oceans, put them in a basket, leave the basket lid open, and the crabs will go out. And then you take crabs from the Indian Ocean. This happens only with crabs of the Indian Ocean. Take them, put them inside a basket, leave the lid open, come after 5 days, the crabs, all of them will be there. None of them will go out, because the moment the first crab starts climbing, the other guy pulls it down. We often talk about in the airport lounges, in the cocktail lounges, about famous Indian crab mentality. But the problem is, when I met Narayan Murthy sir 3 months back for a one-to-one discussion, when I met Azim Premji sir some time back, when I meet Indian leaders in India, and then I meet people many, many levels below down, I feel that we have a tremendous power, invigorating passion, a great challenge that we as a country have. And I think we need to take that forward. So Gen Z has to be taught. They are the first generation post-2000 students who are born post-2000. The first generation, they haven't seen bureaucracy, they haven't seen red tapeism. We used to stay in India where a home loan was 6 years. These days, you can get a girlfriend loan in 3 days, I'm told in some places. So they need to avail the benefits of what modern 21st century India is all about. There is a problem, there is a situation we need to take. The challenge is that there is so much of information available today on Google and so on. One needs to channelize that. Be a good mentor, be a good motivator. You can't be stubborn, you can't be strict with them. Talk to them in their language, heart to heart, dil se dil be se. That is how you take this forward. Talk to them about great stories of Indians who have gone outside India, become so famous. I think that is the way we can motivate youngsters in this country to do well. Siddharth, you might want to add something. Please go on in case you want to. Yeah. Avinav.
Absolutely, Shankar. Thank you so much, both Shankar and Avinav. I think it was incredible coordination and team management on our part today. So that's something also that Indians are looking for. People in a cab now to my way to my destination. So thank you for managing the time quickly.
Siddharth, we are unable to hear you. Siddharth, we are unable to hear you. No, it's not coming through. The audio is not coming through well.
Okay. Just right now. Is maybe I hope it's better now.
Better.
So I'll here.
No, it's not coming through. Siddharth, I'm sorry, it's not coming through. I can't hear. I think I'll have, yes, because we are over time, so I'll have to pause. I'm really sorry. I'll have to go towards the closing remarks because it's 12:03. Okay, all right. So thank you so much. Exceptional talent here, to be honest, on this panel. Thank you to all the panelists for your invaluable insights today. I'm sure your perspectives have not only enlightened the audience, but we are live streaming it, so it has reached to the masses. But I would definitely say that your perspectives have shown the path to creating a more innovative and future-ready Indian education system. And that's what the whole idea or the concept of Bharat Shiksha Sankalp is. And with my closing remarks, I'll come back to you for 30 seconds of your closing remarks as well. But from my side, I want to stress that as we move forward, Eduverse Summit India 2024, which is an in-person event happening on 31st August in JW Marriott Aerocity, New Delhi. We invite educators, leaders, and innovators to join us as speakers and partners. Your contributions can significantly shape the future of education and in India and obviously in the global perspective and global manner. I'm passing it to you, Dr. Pulkit, 10-20 seconds closing remarks, and then in circular manner, I'll go to each panelist.
All right, I'll take your brief very seriously, not more than 20 seconds. And it's just that maybe less talk, more action. That's how we get implementation and innovation going forward. So that's it from me. And I hope this dialogue is a starting point of many more. Thank you. It was a pleasure being here.
Thank you so much for your presence. Shankar?
Yeah, see, talent is useless without direction, discipline, harnessing, dedication put together. We often talk about India being talent. 75% of India less than 40 years of age, and 50% of India less than 30 years of age, and youth capital of the world, and so on. But the point is, we need to direct, discipline that talent. We all talk about great strategy, but I'm the execution guy. I firmly believe that even a bad strategy implemented well can sometimes be better than a great strategy implemented badly. Let's focus on the implementation part. Let us see if what we are trying to do is reaching to the grassroots or not. I think that is what is more important than any other thing, in my opinion. Sorry, go on.
Thank you. Dr. Mayank?
My understanding that is the innovation has to have a base, and the base or the direction, as Shankar was saying about, the direction has to be in reference to technology, psychology, the kind of research, and then the point use of that education system or so. When all these things are being taken together as a platform for the innovation, really it will fructify a lot.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mayank. Dr. Deepthi?
We are talking about innovation, we are talking about implementation. What I think is, if you want really Gen X, be Gen X ourselves. So be a good learner, even at whatever age, and make it a point that if you really, especially for an educators, that if you really want a new generation to learn something, you better be a learner, involve with Generation X in the technology, involve them in the knowledge ground. And if you have a good blend of knowledge and technology together, I think both the generations will work hand in hand. And that's what future lies in.
Absolutely. Bang on. Sid?
Yeah, Abhinav. I hope this time I'm audible. I stopped the car just to make sure I'm audible. So I'll quickly wrap up my ending remarks as well as your question about Gen Z. So the thing is, most Gen Zs, the way they consume information has changed. You have noticed that with social media, it has all become graphic. It has all become very digital, very video aligned. So the way our era has transformed from written captions on Facebook to seeing photos and now seeing videos in short portrait format on reels and so on. So the way they consume information has changed. So I think if education has to be tailored and innovation has to be made possible in this sector, educators like ourselves, we need to incorporate these new age changes that have happened into the system. So we need to make information more, Gen Z, more cool and more, in a format that they like. So creating tailored things around the Gen Z ecosystem, creating tailored content for them is the need of the hour. This is one way a lot of us can bring about rapid change. I have noticed Upgrad doing this. I've noticed a lot of educational platforms doing this, trying to make their captions, trying to make their content more Gen Z absorbable. So I think that's a very important thing. This has not just for education. This is a trend I see pan industry. I saw a video of Yo-Yo Honey Singh where he said that, the medical understanding of this generation has rapidly changed from what we did 10 years back. So there's a reason why Brown Rung became a massive hit, and today his songs don't do so well. So there is the way Gen Z responds to information. It has to be quick. It has to connect with them on an emotional level, and it has to be, it has to be more transparent, more fluidic in nature. So I think that is where there is an evolution in people's understandings and perceptions. While a lot of old school educators might think this is not the best way forward, but I think this is a very decent change, and that's where the world is headed right now. We are more open, we are more transparent, we respect all genders, we respect all people from the amount of respect for diversity has quadrupled in the last 2 decades. So I think that is where we need to identify that the Gen Z is not really a departure from traditional values, but a foray into new ones. So I think keeping that in mind, at the intersection of the old and the new lies a new India, lies a new education system, and lies all the possibilities for innovation. And that is where all my dear panelists and friends, our focus should be headed, trying to crack the code between the old and the new education system. And that is where excellent people like Abhinav and platforms like Eduverse make this happen. So those are my closing remarks. Thank you so much, and I'm glad that I could make it despite the schedule. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sid. Really appreciate that. So once again, thank you so much, all esteemed panelists, from the bottom of my heart, and see you sometime again in next session. That's the final conclusion of this webinar series. Thank you.